just got here. I'm so sorry. We all have to go use the restroom real quick. We'll be back.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good to see you. Good to see all of our visitors here today, and I want to welcome our online visitors today. And thank you all for being with us. And as we were sitting here listening to them warm up there, I was reminded of an illustration we were talking about in prayer meeting a couple weeks ago about the church. And it's like a band tuning up. When they're tuning up, they're all kind of playing individually, you know. But when they all come together and with the director and they all play together, they make beautiful music, right? And it's the same way with our church. When we all come together, we can accomplish some things, right? So a little take home there for us, a little illustration there. But I want to just give you some announcements. We don't have a whole lot here, but there is a board meeting this Monday night and an elders meeting. The elders meeting will be at 6 p.m. and the board meeting at 7. And everyone's welcome to attend if you would like to come in and join the fun there. So you can be part of that. There's a couple other things there in the bulletin. There's a marriage workshop. You can read about that. And there is a presentation that Pastor Kim Kerr is doing starting on February 14th there. And there's some directions there, an address there. Pastor Kim has been here before and preached for us, so I think you all know him, and that should be a nice thing there too. So at this time, we'll have a sharing time. We'll have any prayer requests or any praises that you would like to share with the congregation. If you just raise your hand, and Carl's got the microphone there.
I just want to praise God that we are here today. I'm sorry we missed last month. I was supposed to play for the first of the month. We've been struggling all last year with my husband's health and medical issues and not having a car. Our car broke down, and so it's been a real challenge. But praise God, things are looking up, and we have a car now. A gentleman, a young man, he gave us a car. So we're just so thankful. We did have to fix it up, but that's okay. We'll take whatever. And we also now have, my husband is, because since May of last year, he was in and out of the hospital. They finally had to do 3 surgeries. And but look, as you can see now, he's here, and he's doing well. He's still through the healing process, but you know what? Like we had in Bible study this morning, rejoice in everything. And so we are rejoicing. And so continue to pray for my husband's healing and for me to do what I need to do to help him to get to that point. And we're just thankful to be here this morning. Oh, yes, my husband wants to say something, I guess. Here he is.
I just want to say when God gives, he gives in whole, not in part. When Margie said we had to fix up the car, we were praying for means, and a generous donor gave us enough money to cover the cost of the expenses of repairing it. And now we have a dependable, reliable Tahoe. Praise the Lord, we can get up and down the mountain.
Thankful. We really appreciate you coming and playing the piano for us, too. That's a blessing. We're rejoicing that you're here today. We're also rejoicing that UCA band is here with us today. They've come a long way to be here today, and I know that we'll all be blessed with their music.
Yeah, this is a prayer request for Marianne.
Sure.
Her friend Phyllis and Robin are both dying, and Marianne has a request that's something that she needs help with, and we're asking God to help her.
What was her request?
For God to help Marianne with her request. I don't want to say what the request is, but she needs help with that request. So, anyway, thank you.
Okay. Up front here.
Yeah, we've had quite a couple months. My mother-in-law died in January 10, early Sabbath morning. They're going to have a funeral, a memorial service at the end of May, so that was one of my prayer requests. And the other one was last Tuesday. My husband came in the bedroom and said, "I'm dying," and I'm calling 911. And the ambulance got stuck in our driveway and had to be chained out. Anyway, but he got to the hospital, and they told him he was going to have to stay till morning and see a cardiologist and his team, but they didn't find anything wrong with his heart. So that's praise. And then the nurses came in and they said, "We're going to do a chest x-ray," and they found a spot in his lungs, and they had to do a CAT scan on him Friday, so we don't know the results yet. But
Well, we'll certainly keep him in prayer.
anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Time for one more.
Gary had his hand up.
Gary.
Both a prayer request and a praise. My father-in-law, Gene, has been experiencing dizziness, sluggishness, out of breath for some time now, confusion when he gets that way. So we went to the cardiologist yesterday. Cammie was with them. They had to do a catheter, and there is no blockage in any of his heart issues, but we're trying to still figure out why he has, this symptoms there. So we're praying for him that at least they can tell him this is what's going on with you.
Okay. Are there any unspoken requests? Okay. At this time, we're going to take a moment for silent prayer as Margie plays some music for us. Time for our children's story and for our children's offering. The offering that we collect from the children's offering goes towards helping kids go to LCA and also to Camp Maivanen during the summer. And then Pastor Sean will have our children's story.
Right in front. Well, good morning, girls. How are you? You fine? Did you have fun in Sabbath school? Yeah. Well, I have a story for you. Happened many years ago. I was walking out with my friend, and we would raise money by selling books. It's called colportering. And we were just walking down the streets, and we would go to the house and we'd knock on the front door. If somebody was there, they would open and we'd say, hey, we want to sell you these books. And in South Africa where we lived, all the houses had fences in the front yards and the backyard. So if you needed to get in, you had to open the front gate to be able to get to the front door. And so my friend and I had been doing this all morning and nothing was going wrong. And so we walked to this one house, and I don't know, the fence was like, I don't know, so big or so tall, and there was a front gate, and we opened the gate, and we just walked down the walkway and walked straight to the front door, and we knocked on the door. The lady opened the door. Her eyes went as big as saucers. She looked at us, and she says, "What you doing here?" And we're like, well, we've just come to sell books. She says, no, what are you doing in the front yard? Well, we said, well, we had to get to the front door, so we had to get into the front yard. She says, didn't you see the dog? And we're like, what dog? Now, do you like dogs? I like dogs. Dogs can also be a bit scary sometimes, right? They can bark and growl and snarl, and they can show you all their teeth, and they can be very scary. And this lady said, I have a dog in the front yard. And we're like, uh-oh. She said, I have a Rottweiler. And Rottweilers can be dangerous dogs, especially to strangers. And we're like, she says, you better get out here. But we just wanted to go in the house, and she said, you need to leave. And we're like, okay. And then as we turn around and walk down the garden path to the front gate, we looked to the side of us. And probably where the last chair is in the aisle over here, or the row, there we saw this brown Rottweiler lying there in the shade, sleeping. And so my friend and I, we see this big dog, and we're like, we've got to get out of here. And so we walked as fast as we could, but at the same time as quietly as we could, because we didn't want to wake the dog up. We still had a little ways to go to the front gate. And so as soon as we get to the front gate, we open the gate, and guess what the gate does? It goes, squeak! As the gate went squeak, the dog's like, what's going on here? He looks at us, he gets up, and he starts running to the front gate. By that time, we had squeezed through the gate, we had slammed it closed, and then as it closed, the dog jumped on the gate and was like, "Rrr, rrr, rrr, rrr." My friend and I are like, man, we would have been it had the dog got us. But then we learned this incredible Bible verse from Psalm 121 and verse 7 and 8. It says, the Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and your going, both now and forevermore. And so that story has always stuck in my head, that dog could have woken up when we walked into the yard. It could have woken up when we were walking down the pathway back to the gate, and it could have really hurt us. But it only woke up when we got outside. And my friend and I believed that God had kept that dog sleeping, was watching over us, so that we could continue the work of selling books, so that people could learn about who Jesus was. And so I want you to remember this, moms and dads and girls. I want you to remember that God is always looking after you. He's always taking care of you and watching over everything that you do, protecting you and keeping you safe. So may God bless you, and may you always remember that He's looking after you. Thank you. You may be seated.
Okay, so while they're busy tuning, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the group, because as you saw, we came in a whirlwind. For some reason, I had 11:20 stuck in my head, and I was like, we're early as we walked in, 5 minutes late. So this is the UCA Brass Quintet and the Saxophone Quintet. Now, for some of you that can count higher than 4, you'll notice that there are only 4 saxophones up here. The reason why is our soprano saxophone actually had to go home sick. And so we are lucky enough that saxophone and trumpet, soprano sax and trumpet, share the same music. So I will be filling in for the soprano saxophone on the one song that we play for that. We started this last year and into this year. Okay, you don't all have to tune at the same time, just one. I mean, thank you, River. And so we started the brass quintet this year. I'm a brass player from UCI. I graduated from there, and I've played trumpet since I was, I think, 9 years old, so that should be 33 years now. And so when I work there, I'm the IT director. I actually don't do anything with music, but I'm very passionate about the fact that these kids have a chance to play and to really be pushed hard in a small group. The band is great, but for those that want to really push themselves and learn to perform as a small group, it's a completely different dynamic in learning how to play. So we've got brass quintet, which is 2 trumpets, a French horn, a trombone, and a tuba. We've got a saxophone quintet, which is normally a soprano sax, 2 altos, 1 tenor, and 1 bari. Our brass quintet started, I think, 2nd week this year. Brass quintet's been together since the 2nd week, and they have been performing. They've performed all over. And we were on tour to Yakima, and the saxophones came up and said, well, we want to do that. And I was like, I don't play saxophone, but if I just have to wave my hands around and you make music, we can do that. And so they have put in the work. They've actually only been together about a month and a half, whereas brass has been together since the beginning of the year. The saxophones have been together about a month and a half. And so we picked out some music, and we were looking at the different ways to go about that. And we found out that there was not only all of brass parts, but there was optional saxophone parts to cover any holes. It's not very often that you find a piece of music that has all of brass, all of sax ready to play in tandem with each other. So our first 2 pieces are going to be all 10 of us together. Well, I'm not going to play. Silas does well, and I don't need to double down on him. He's a great first lead on this. But the 9 of them are going to play. We've got All Hail the Power of Jesus' Name. And then we've got Will the Circle Be Unbroken. I do get to make my 2nd debut of playing rhythm. I do get to play the tambourine, which is phenomenal. I love that part of it. But these guys are great. I'm going to let them go. I'm going to get them started, and they're going to go ahead and play. So enjoy.
Good morning. Happy Sabbath. I'm tempted to say just continue and we'll skip over the singing this morning. Please join us this morning as we continue praising God with our voices to hymn number 343, I Will Sing of My Redeemer.
I will sing of my Redeemer and his wondrous love to me. On the cruel cross he suffered from the curse to set me free. Sing, oh sing of my Redeemer, with his blood he purchased me. On the cross he sealed my pardon, paid the debt and made me free. I will tell the wondrous story, how my lost estate to save. In his past love and mercy, he the ransom freely gave. Sing, oh sing of my Redeemer, with his blood he purchased me. On the cross he sealed my pardon, paid the debt and made me free. I will sing of my Redeemer and his heavenly love to me. He from death to life hath brought me, Son of God with him to be. Sing, oh sing of my Redeemer, with his blood he purchased me. On the cross he sealed my pardon, paid the debt and made me free.
When the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. I truly believe that the day is coming closer, and what a wonderful song to remind us of that wonderful day that's coming soon. 216, when the roll is called up yonder.
When the trumpet of the Lord shall sound, and time shall be no more, and the morning breaks eternal, bright and fair. When the saved of earth shall gather over on the other shore, and the roll is called up yonder
stand up with us for hymn 287, Softly and Tenderly, and we will sing the first and the last stanza.
Softly and tenderly, Jesus is calling, calling for you and for me. At the heart's portal, He's waiting and watching, watching for you and for me. Come home, come home. You are weary, come home. Earnestly, tenderly, Jesus is calling, calling, oh sinner, come home.
The third stanza.
Think of the wonderful love He has promised, promised for you and for me. Though we have sinned, He has mercy and pardon, pardon for you and for me. Come home, come home. You are weary, come home. Earnestly, tenderly, Jesus is calling, calling, oh sinner, come home.
Thank you. You may be seated.
It's time for our morning offering, and today's loose offering goes towards our church budget. And I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who contributes to our budget. This last year, the Lord has really blessed us in the work that we've been able to do in our community. We've had several outreach events that the Lord has just really blessed and brought a lot of people from our community, giving us a chance to get to know them and opening up opportunities for us to share the gospel with them. And part of our church budget goes towards things like that, as well as keeping the lights on. So I know that the Lord is good. He's provided each one of us with what we need, and He likes to work through His people, doesn't He? So this is your chance to contribute to that, and we thank each and every one of you. My wife has left me a note reminding me to invite each and every one to a special meal that we have planned for after the service today. There's a haystack meal plan, and if you're visiting us here today, you're all welcome to join us. So it's now time for our morning prayer. As far as possible, please kneel with me. Our Father in heaven, Lord, we do thank you for this Sabbath day. We thank you for your love and care for us, Lord, and for the reminder that the Sabbath is, Lord, that you are not only our creator, but you want to be with us. You want to dwell with us, Lord, and fellowship with us. And Lord, we come here today, we come boldly before your throne because of your Son, Jesus, and the sacrifice that he has made for us on the cross, Lord. And we come thanking you and praising his name and for the things that he's doing in each and every one of our lives. And today, Lord, we're grateful for each person that you've brought here today. And you've heard the prayer requests and the praises that have gone up. We're praising you for Larita being here today and for the healing you've given her, and for Ernestine, and many others, Lord, who've been through a lot of sickness. And Lord, you've been with them and have brought them back here today. Lord, we want to pray for Mary Ann's request. You know what's on her heart. You know our minds. We don't have to say those things out loud, Lord, because you know what they are, and you've already made plans to take care of those things. And Lord, we're praying for the people around the world who are being persecuted. It has been brought up this morning, the people in Iran, the people there that are being persecuted by their own government there, Lord. We just pray you be with them. May they feel your presence there. May they know that there is a God, a living God who sees them, and that there's a purpose in all these things that go on, Lord. And one day we will find out about them. Lord, we pray for those who are traveling. There are people who are going on mission trips, Lord, that are going to areas of the world, Lord. Today it's not always, we don't know what to expect. But Lord, when we go in your name and for your purposes, we know that you're there with us to protect us. So we pray for those kids. I know that there is a group from UCA, and we know that Bob and Pat's granddaughter is leaving the country to be with them and protect them, Lord. We are grateful for those who have come here today, Lord, for Margie, who comes and plays the piano for us. And Lord, we're thankful for the praise that they have of sharing your goodness to them and providing a car for them. And Lord, you know our needs before we even know, and you have those things planned out for us. And so we're thankful for that. And Lord, you know all the different things that are in our hearts and minds. I would also like to lift up Matt and Lauren Burton, Lord. And we're thankful for the baby that you've brought into the world, Lord, that you've given them a precious gift, Lord. And it's been a little bit of a struggle, Lord, but things are turning for the better. We pray you'll continue to be with them and bring them back to health. Lord, we pray that you would go before us today, that you'd send your Holy Spirit to be with us, that you would guide and direct us, that you would be with Pastor Sean as he brings us a message this morning. You've been working with him all week, Lord, impressing on his mind the things that you would have us to hear today. And I pray that you would speak through him. And also, Lord, I pray that you would speak through the music that the kids from UCA are playing for us here today, Lord. We're thankful for them and their willingness to come and share their gifts. We pray that all that is said and done, Lord, would bring honor and glory to your name. We love you and thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
You guys feel blessed yet? I must say it does bring back memories. Okay, today's scripture is Isaiah 30, verse 21. Isaiah 30, 21. Your eyes shall hear a word behind you, saying, this is the way, walk in it, whenever you return to the right hand, or whenever you turn to the left.
Thank you. Do you guys want to sit? Thank you for that lovely music. It was really, really wonderful to hear you guys play. And you know, sometimes I think, oh, it'd be so nice to play an instrument, and I think about all the hard work. I'm like, nah. And so when you guys play, I just get to pretend I'm playing and just live and bask in your great accomplishments. Thank you so much, and for coming out this Sabbath morning. We really do appreciate it. How many of you believe that God really calls us? That he really speaks to us? How many of you, when going through a difficult time, actually hear God speaking? Okay, well, I'm really happy, because for me, when I'm going through a tough time, sometimes my ears are so closed up, I cannot hear God speak. Louis wakes up screaming one night. His hands are gripped around his wife's neck, throttling and squeezing the life out of her. He straddled over her in a rage, in a fury, dreaming that the person in his dream is the person whose neck he's squeezing. And in the midst of this dream, he's dreaming that he's grabbing the neck of his prison guard that had tortured him relentlessly for 3 to 5 months, every single day. And he wakes up, or he's dreaming that he finally has the prison guard. His name was, they nicknamed him the Bird, because if they called them by name, they would know who they were talking about. So each prison guard got a nickname, and this prison guard's name was the Bird. And he was dreaming that he was strangling the bird, but as he's screaming and strangling, he wakes up and realizes he's sitting over his wife, pinning her down and squeezing the life out of her. I can't imagine going through a period in my life of 3 to 4 months where every single day someone is looking for you to torture and make your life an absolute misery. Louis endured his time of torture as a prisoner of war in the prison camps during the Second World War. But the torture that he endured affected him so much that the only way he could sleep, the only way that he could not dream about the bird, was to drown himself in alcohol. Drink himself to a drunken stupor where eventually he would pass out because of not necessarily fatigue, but just he was so inebriated he would just pass out. It's the only way he could get the bird out of his head. Alcohol became his friend and the means of forgetting a torturous past. Have you ever been so overwhelmed in life that you have to find a way of shutting out the world, numbing everything so that you don't have to endure it anymore? 3 to 5 months is not a long time if you think about it. But how about 3 to 5 years? That's a different story, right? That's like a high school career almost. How about not just necessarily being tortured, how about being hunted for your life for 3 to 5 years? Where whoever's hunting you, if they find you, will slit your throat, stab you, do whatever. Can you imagine running for your life for 3 to 5 years? Book of Samuel, of the first Samuel, we read of King Saul relentlessly pursuing David. When we read the scriptures, we don't necessarily read a time frame. But from 1 Samuel, or 1 Samuel chapter 1 up until 1 Samuel chapter 25, this is a period about 3 to 5 years is taking place during this time. And for this period of time, David is fleeing constantly from Saul. And when we get to 1 Samuel 25, David is in the wilderness, running for his life, fearing that anybody could snitch on him. Now, in high school, do you guys like snitches? You do something bad and what did Joshua say? Stitches for snitches, right? Okay, so it's an old saying. So stitches for snitches. Well, we just call it tattletaling back in South Africa. But snitches for stitches, or stitches for snitches. Can you imagine? Anybody could turn you in. Anybody could turn David in and say, I know where he is, and Saul would be on him. And David's in the wilderness. His strength is gone. His ability to keep his cool is kind of fraying at the ends. And he's hungry. Maybe he's hangry, would be a more modern day term. And he hears about a guy who is rich. The Bible describes him as very rich. He has 300 or 3,000 sheep. He has 1,000 goats. And I guess in today's terms, that's not very rich, but I guess biblically speaking, that was very rich. And the Bible describes him as very rich, describes how many sheep he's got, how many goats he's got, but then it says something else. His name was Nabal. And the Bible says his name means he's a fool. Now, I don't know how you get rich and being a fool at the same time. It kind of like doesn't make sense. Maybe he was business savvy, but socially a fool. Did not know how to relate to people, did not know how to speak to people, did not know how to treat people well. And so hence he's described as a fool. And so this fool is rich. David's in the wilderness. He hears that this fool Nabal, that his shepherds are beginning to shear their sheep. And David thinks, well, this is maybe not a bad time to go and find out from Nabal whether he would not be willing to give us some food because we're hungry. And so David sends a few young representatives to him, and he gives them a speech to say. He says to them, David tells them, he says the following, speak to Nabal, say the following, peace be to you, peace to your house, and peace to all that you have. That's an amazing way to approach somebody. Hey, you're amazing. I hope you have a wonderful time at school. I hope that your grades just like are blowing up and you're getting full A's and everybody likes you. I think that would fall on nice ears, and that the response would be kind. But I guess Nabal was dumb. Nabal was a fool. Because his response to David's men is disrespectful. He says, Who are you? Who are you, David? I hear you are the son of Jesse. You are a servant to Saul. Thanks so much. You are a servant to Saul, and all this was a slap in the face of David. David comes respectfully and says, peace be to you, to your family, to your business, everything. I hope that God blesses you, is what David is saying. And Nabal says, like, who you? What should I do? Why should I listen to you? You are an absolute nobody. Actually, you're a servant. You're fleeing from Saul. And I should probably turn you in, is what Nabal is saying. And so, it's interesting, David's response. His soldiers come back, and his soldiers give the response. David's first thing is strap on your swords. He sees blood. That's all he sees. He's just out to go and get this guy Nabal, because how dare you treat me the way you've treated me? How dare you speak to me like this? When in actual fact, and some of the commentators will suggest that David's request of sheep was almost like a gangster. I've treated you well, therefore you owe me some food. Commentators will say that when David went to Nabal asking for food, he was saying to them, I've treated your shepherds well, I did not take any food from them, I protected them from other enemies, therefore you owe me food. And if you don't owe me food, I'm going to come at you. Commentators will suggest that, but I don't interpret it that way. I see it as David saying, hey, we've lived among your shepherds. We've done nothing wrong to them. My guys are hungry. We could have taken food from them, but we haven't. We are doing the decent thing and coming to you respectfully. But now, Nabal has caused David to be mad. He sees blood. I think that Louis and David were in a similar situation. See, the prison guard, the bird, had destroyed Louis. The prison guard had taken Louis's humanity. He had humiliated Louis. I mean, if we read the book, and if you want to read the book, it's called Unbroken. Correct. You read how this guy treated Louis through this ordeal in prison camps. Humiliated, beaten, lost his dignity, lost his humanity, if you please. All Louis had for the bird was hatred. All David had for Nabal was hatred. All Louis wanted to do in his time period under the rule of the bird or the reign of the bird was to kill him. That's all he wanted to do. They had gone so far as to somehow, I don't know how they did this, but they would go on these hard labor things, and somehow they had devised a plan of bringing in a rock big enough that when you tied it to a man with rope, that he would not be able to swim. So their plan was to bring little strands of rope or string, tie them together, and when the bird was in the room or they were able to get hold of the bird, they would jump him, tie him down with this rope, tie the rope around the rock, and then toss the rock out the window with the bird strapped to it, and eventually drown the bird in the river. This was their plan. Louis just wanted to kill this guy. The end of the war, Louis makes it back to the United States. And all he can think about is killing the bird. He wanted to get revenge. It's what drove his life. He wanted to get back to Japan. So Louis planned year after year after year, I'm going to get back to Japan. I'm going to hunt the bird down, and I'm going to end his life. David is like, how can Nabal treat me this way? I am going to go to him. I'm going to end his life and teach him a lesson. Can you imagine being in that state of mind? That state of fear that everything drives you to one end. I remember at school, I went to a public school, and at the public school they had a lot of foreign students come in, and this is not picking on any particular international nation, but it was a lot of Japanese students that came in, and the gymnasium was out of bounds one day at school. And back in South Africa, we have what we call prefects. They, like the Student Body Association, they're the ones that kind of look over the students and make everything, work well. And your fellow students would vote you in as a prefect or as a head boy or a head girl. And so I was a prefect in high school. And so because I was a prefect, I had certain sways of authority and responsibilities that teachers would lean upon us to do and communicate back to our friends. And so one teacher came to me and said to me, Sean, there's a bunch of Japanese students out in the gymnasium. They're playing basketball. They're not supposed to be there. It's out of bounds. Please take them all to the office. Back in the day, the school believed in corporal punishment. There was a cane, and it was not spared. The headmaster back in that day, his name was Mr. Spears. We actually called him Father Christmas because he had this big, long, white beard that hung down to his belly button. And if you looked carefully in his beard, you could see breakfast kernels in his beard. And so we teased and said that he would save those for a snack later on. The deputy head principal his name was Mr. Beeden, and he was a swimmer. His favorite stroke in swimming was butterfly. I mean, Stan, you've got big shoulders, and I wish I had big shoulders, but this guy, he was bigger than what you are. I mean, he had huge shoulders. And so these students, I think there was 10 or 15 of them, they were taken from the gymnasium to the office, and they were now going to get corporal punishment because they were disobeying, that the gymnasium was out of bounds. And so I don't know what happened. I did what my duty was. I took them to the office and I left it over there. But the result of that was that these students and their friends turned on me. So much so that I was scared to go to school. So much so that I was scared that when I was at school, that if I had to go to the bathroom or to the restroom, that somebody may be there and beat me up. The day after they were taken to the office, I was walking up the stairwell to one of the classrooms, and I was walking to my classroom, and then all of a sudden I was surrounded by 7 or 8 of these guys. And they would kind of walk at me and push me into a corner. So much so that I was walking backwards, not able to kind of see what was going on, and tripped over suitcases that were lying in the corridor because I was scared because of what they were going to do. It was so bad that the headmaster, Mr. Spears, he had to make an announcement at assembly and said, there will be no cultural bullying or intimidation in this school. I was scared. Louis was scared. It traumatized him. David had been traumatized because he's been fleeing for his life for 3.5 years. How do we respond? How do you guys respond when treated badly? And, we don't get beaten up every day with a belt buckle on the side of the head. We don't get intimidated by 10, 15 people every single day. We're not fearing for our life for 3.5 years. But what do we do when we're treated badly? Do we see blood? Do we go out on the warpath and seek revenge for those who have wronged us? Do we drown our sorrows, our humiliation, our hurt, our embarrassment in things that we hope will make us feel better? You see, because David and Louis, they thought, well, if I kill Nabal, I'm going to feel better about myself. I'm going to teach him a lesson. Louis, on the other hand, if I can kill the bird, he won't be in my dreams anymore. Do we act self-righteously by making ourselves or taking action that allows us to feel better while destroying somebody else's life? Or do we not do that? Do we turn to self-medication? Do we turn to food? Food's going to make me feel better. A good dessert is going to just hit the spot, and I'm going to have that endorphin rush just for a moment. Do we turn to alcohol, pornography, scrolling endlessly? The doom scrolling where it never ends and it just goes on and on until you find something interesting to watch? Do we go shopping sprees and before we've opened our eyes out, we've spent thousands of dollars on our credit card, and now we're like, oh, now what do I do? Do we overwork? Do we spend all our time in the office because we don't know how to handle our situations in life? Do we attempt to silence the hurt in our life to make ourselves feel worthy by doing these things, by eating, because eating makes us feel good? Alcohol helps us numb our senses. Going on to pornography allows us to enjoy ourselves again. Scrolling, we numb our senses. Do we do all these things because we're hurting inside and we feel that these things are calling us and helping us feel better? While David and Louis and us go on our war paths, there's someone who is calling out to us. Our ears will hear a voice behind us saying, "This is the way, walk therein." For David, it was Abigail. When you go home this afternoon, just go read the story in 1 Samuel 25. The Bible describes her in the following way. She was a woman of good understanding and beautiful in appearance. Nabal is described as a fool, but she has good understanding. Just something to the men here in church. Find a good woman. Find a woman who is God-fearing and has good understanding. And women, strive to be in God's power a good woman. If you can find, men, a good woman, God has blessed you. If you, ladies, can be a good woman, God is blessing you. Because a good woman can speak sense to a man who sees blood. Because Abigail's a good woman. Nabal is described as a fool. She's described as one who's good understanding. Nabal's servants tell her what's happening. So they don't go to Nabal. They don't go to Nabal and say, hey, David's out on the warpath. They go to the one who knows, has common sense. Abigail, someone's coming and he's out for blood. Abigail's response to the problem immediately. She doesn't go to Nabal and say, "What have you done? You're just ridiculous. Why did you do that?" No, she takes matters into her own hands. She prepares a feast. She prepares what is needed. 1 Samuel 25 says the following: when she meets David, it's the first time we hear of God in this particular story. She says, "Please let not my lord," in other words David, "regard this scoundrel Nabal, for his name is so, he is so." Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. She says, "Do not overreact for the way this fool has treated you." And then she goes on in verse 26, "Now therefore, my lord, as the Lord lives and saves your lives, since the Lord has held you back from coming to bloodshed and from avenging yourself with your own hand, now then let your enemy and those who seek harm for my lord be as Nabal." So Abigail says to David, don't overreact against a fool. And how often do we do that? Somebody says something so outrageous, we see blood, we're out, we're going to get him, and we're overreacting. This is David. And Abigail says, calm down. She says, let God bring you back from bloodshed. This is God speaking to David, saying, calm down. But not only is she calming him down, but she's saving David from destroying his future career as a king. Can you imagine what it would have been like if David had ascended the throne and on his character was he had killed Nabal in cold blood because Nabal would not give him food? Israel would have served David out of fear. And so she saves his future career by saying, God is speaking to you. Don't act this way. Abigail sees David's hurt and pain. In Exodus 3 verse 7, which says, and the Lord says, I have surely seen their oppression. In other words, Israel's oppression while in Egypt. My people are in Egypt. I have heard their cry because their taskmasters, I know their sorrows. God knows what you and I are going through. God knew what David was going through. God knew what Louis was going through. If you're going through a hard time, God knows. And at the same time as God knowing, God is speaking. His voice is being heard by us. The question is, will we listen to the direction He's calling us to go into? Louis is on a warpath. He cannot sleep. He's passing out because of alcohol. His marriage is being destroyed. His wife Cynthia leaves him for a time. It's so bad that his baby girl is like a treasure to him. And it's so bad that Cynthia goes out the house one day and Louis is left alone, and she comes back home and Louis has the child. The child is screaming and he's shaking her. He's so overwhelmed with the past and the torture. His life is in absolute tatters. They get back together after Cynthia leaves. They get back together, but the bird is still destroying. Every time he goes to sleep, the bird is in his dreams. Do you guys have recurring dreams? Anybody have recurring dreams? I don't have recurring dreams. But can you imagine having recurring dreams? For 4 years, the bird is in his dreams. Then in 1949, Cynthia goes to a revival series down in Southern California. Billy Graham is speaking. she finds peace, a peace that she has never had. So she asks Louis to go one night with her. And he's like, no. Reluctant. Eventually he goes, and she kind of, I don't know what she does. I don't know if she lied, whether she exaggerated a little bit about what was going on, but Louis liked science. She says that he speaks about science. And like Louis, okay, let's go. So he goes reluctantly. Can you see God speaking to Louis? Can you see Cynthia as Abigail? Softly she calls him. There's something that you need to hear. He called Louis and he calls us. At first, Louis is dismissive of God. You know what it's like. Your parents come to you, your wife comes and speaks to you, your husband comes and speaks to you, and you know the counsel they're giving you is right, but you turn stubborn. You know what I'm talking about? Who are you to tell me I must do this? You're just as bad. And then you bring out the laundry list that's as long as a mile. Well, you do this and you do that, and why must this is all you? This is my only problem, and yours is a mile long. I think that this is kind of Louis' initial response is like, who are you to tell me? Cynthia asks again if Louis would go to another meeting. He says, okay, I'll go. But we will leave the moment Billy Graham starts his altar call prayer. When he says, stand up, let's pray in closing, we will leave. And so the moment that happens, Louis gets up, grabs Cynthia's hand, and they're walking from the edge of, I guess from the middle of the block where they were sitting. They're walking to the aisle. They're about to turn up to go out of the tent and the meeting place where they're at. And Louis stops. He looks down to the podium. He looks to the door. He looks and he sees the canvas tent and the sawdust, and he stops. At that moment, he remembers a promise. You see, Louis was a bombardier that flew B-24s. And they were flying this horrible plane that should never have been flown because it was not airworthy, but their sergeant told them, you will fly on this mission. The plane goes down somewhere, I don't know, out there in the ocean somewhere. They are stranded for 33 days in a raft on the ocean. Louis says that the moment the raft was blown up and whatever, they were circled by sharks every single day. I don't know about you, but I don't like sharks too much. I love the beach. I love it. I grew up going and swimming. The smell of coconut suntan lotion just takes me back to my childhood days, being on the beach, tanning yourself brown. I mean, it was just the best. Barbecues every single day for lunch. We would go to the beach 9 o'clock in the morning. We'd stay there till 12. My dad would leave before that. He would start the fire, barbecue chicken, and it was actually a bride chicken every day for lunch, salad. We'd spend an hour or two at home for lunch. Then in the afternoon, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we'd go back to the beach till like 5 o'clock. That was 1 week summer vacation for us, every single day. Coconut suntan lotion. Brings back memories. But I never thought about sharks. Never. Until in college days, I learned about great whites breaching the sea in False Bay in Cape Town. And then I'm like, oh, the sea has sharks? Oh, that's not good. And so then every time I would swim thereafter, I would imagine sometimes diving through the waves and then diving straight into a shark's mouth. I still love the beach. But they were circled by sharks. And sometimes Satan circles us. Satan circled Louis with the bird. David was being circled by Satan through Saul and through Nabal. Satan circles us, and he will rub right up against us. He says, Louis would say on the raft. I mean, how thick is an inflatable raft? No, it's like the thickness of your jacket. The fins of the shark would scrape up against the raft. They would swim underneath the raft and bump them. 33 days they're on this raft, being shot at by enemy planes. You guys know of the doldrums? Have you learned that? I learned about it in this place in the ocean where there's no waves, no currents, and very, very little wind. They entered the doldrums on this raft. It was so bad that the raft started to disintegrate, and it gave off a smell, and it was just horrible. They had no cover for themselves. They had no water. And there Louis looks in the doldrums in the night sky, and he sees the stars. He sees the ocean. And he says, there must be a God. And he prays and he says, God, if you get me out of this, I will serve you the rest of my life. A few days later, it rains and they have some water, which they had not had in days. But there in that tent, sawdust on the floor, Billy is about to pray. He's about to walk out the back. He remembers that promise. He lets go of his wife's hand and he walks down to the front. And there in the front, he made a full surrender. He gave it up. No more bargaining. How often do we bargain with God? That night, the following happened. His alcoholism left him that night. His hatred for his captors, and he had gone through about 200 prison guards. His hatred for those prison guards, gone. His death wish for the bird, gone. He says the next morning when he woke up, everything was different. Because Abigail, because Cynthia, because they were used by God to speak the word of God to somebody who saw blood. God speaks to us today. He's speaking to you in this sermon. The baggage you carry, the hurt you bear, the vindictive nature you have towards somebody for what they've done for you, your animosity towards your boss, your hatred of yourself because of what you've done to yourself. God says, I can free you from that. I can free you from your addiction. I can free you from your self-medicated means of getting through life. I can free you from that. God says that to you today. Friends, I want to tell you that everything can be different. You can be freed from your self-medicated addictions. God speaks to all of us today through the story of Louis, through the story of David and Nabal and Abigail, and He wants us to make a full surrender. He wants to make everything in our life different. The question is, are we listening? Are we listening, or are we looking at the clock and it's like, man, I'm hungry. When's he going to sit down? What are we scared of? What are we scared to give up? Who are we fighting in our head? Are we fighting ourselves? Are we hating ourselves? Are we hating someone else? What is the coping mechanism that we have baptized as normal, and the means of numbing and saving us? Maybe we've baptized politics. That will be our saving grace. Maybe we've baptized TV or social media or friends or sports, and maybe we've said, that will be my saving grace. That will give me something to focus on other than the hatred and the dislike I have for myself because of what has happened to me in the past. Maybe, and hear me correctly when I say this, maybe church has become our baptized saving grace. Because coming to church, being here, is not going to give you peace. The only one that will give peace and make everything different is Jesus. If we're here for any other reason other than Jesus, we're not going to get peace. So how do you surrender? You can't stick up a white flag in your heart. I come in peace. How do we surrender? How do we take back the hurt? How do we take back that which is stolen? How do we take back our peace? How do we take back our dignity, our future? How do we do what David did and what Louis did? And how do we receive that which God desires for us? Have you ever wondered about your hand? Look at your hand. Right? What do we hold dear in our hand? What do you hold? Your job? Is that your security? Your family? What is your weapon of choice? Words, vindictive words, gossip, backstabbing. What we have in our hand, if you please, is who we are. A closed hand, a clenched hand, is a hand of aggression, a hand of stress, a hand of worry, a hand of pent up. If you're going to go fight, you're going to go fight ready. Right, Gary? You're not going to stand with open hands. No, I'm ready to fight. What are you fighting with in your hand? I want you to take your hand and I want you to close it, put it on your leg like such. You're sitting, I'm standing. And I want you to think about what's in your hand. What sword are you fighting your life with? And then I want you to open your hand. And say, God, this is my sword. Take it from me. An open hand is a sign of humility. An open hand is a sign of surrender. Amen. An open hand is saying, God, I have nothing to offer. I can't fight in my own strength. I can't fight with the sword of social media. I can't fight with the sword of alcoholism, pornography, work, family, doom scrolling. I can't fight with those because the more I fight with that, the emptier I feel. And so God, here's my social media. Here's my alcohol. Here's my pornography. Here's my TV. Here's my work. Here's what I have fought with. I surrender. That's what David did. He strapped on his sword, but when he met Abigail, he surrendered. When Louis met God that night in the tent, he opened his hands and he said, God, here is my hatred. Take it. So this week, I want you to, when you're sitting at your desk and you're writing, or you're bored with your teachers, think about or you're never bored with your teachers. That's right. Teachers are always engaging. When you're sitting at your desk and you think about that person who has given you a hard time and your teacher who's giving you a hard time, I want you to look at your hand and open it up. Teachers, when you see that student walk into your class that's like, man, he's here again. Oh, my days. Couldn't you have called in sick? Do not grab the baseball bat of grades. Say, God, I relinquish this student to you. When you're at office, when you're at home, when your husband and your wife has done that to you once more, when your boss has ridiculed you once more unreasonably, look at your hand and say, God, I give it to you. Surrender your life to Him. Open your hand this week and give up whatever you are fighting with. Spend time with God each and every day, asking God, what am I running from? What hurt am I running from? And to where are you calling me? We know the history of David and the great work that he did. But Louis, God had called him to a ministry of reconciliation, of helping young, troubled people, of seeking peace with his prison captives. I was held in prison. No, not genuine prison, but I was held in prison by a kid who bullied me for many years at school. And I wondered, what would I do with him if I saw him after school? Oh, I wanted to sock that kid one solid shot in the face and just tell him what was. So I met Warren many years after I'd known him in elementary school. Gone through high school, gone through college, and here was this skinny little runt once again. Oh, I wanted to punch the daylights out of him. I was already a minister working at a summer camp, and I wanted to have at this guy. Thank you, Adam. Thank you.
I said we're all
We're all human. We're all human. So we sat down in the dining room at a place called Mapani Lodge in South Africa. He told me his story. I let go of my hatred for him. And today I still wonder where he is in life. Smoking and drinking by the time he was still in elementary school. Involved in drugs and whatnot through his life. But he eventually gave himself to Christ. He had given up whatever he was fighting with, and he gave his life to Christ. God is calling you today. God is speaking to you from behind, saying, this is the way to go. Walk therein. I pray this morning that God will bless you as you listen to His voice, that you would walk within His path, that you would open up your hand and give up what you're fighting for. Let's bow our heads as we pray. Father in heaven, it's tiring to fight battles over and over again. Father, today you're asking us no longer to fight in our strength, in our armor, with our weapons. So, Father, with every head that is bowed, with every eye that is closed, you see the hands that are closed with the fist. You see the armor and the weaponry that each one has. And so I pray for myself and for those here today. I say, I surrender my right for revenge. I surrender my coping mechanisms. I surrender the version of myself that is surviving and not living. But I trust you, God, to deal with my hurt and pain and to give me healing. Father, we choose this day, not my war path, but rather your path. As you say, walk therein and teach us this day, Father, to walk within the path that you are calling us to live. Bless us now, Father. Make your face to shine upon us and lead us and guide us is our humble prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. We don't. Where's the pianist? I don't know. Oh, he's playing something. Okay, good. Yeah.